Alex had always dreamed of big money, status, and recognition. He believed that success in business required not only hard work but also the ability to make an impression. His wife, Anna, was the complete opposite. She didn't wear expensive dresses, didn't get trendy hairdos, and wasn't skilled in small talk or social scenes. She lived quietly, neatly, always staying in her husband's shadow and doing her best to support him in everything, even when he acted selfishly. When Alex was starting his business, it was Anna who helped with the accounting, searched for contacts, stayed up late analyzing the market, negotiated with contractors, and double-checked contracts. But as the company became more successful, Alex began to feel ashamed of his modest wife. He thought that next to her, he looked poor and unremarkable, that she was holding him back. Deep down, he feared that major investors would see her as a weak link and begin to question his leadership. That was when Samantha entered his life. She was everything Anna was not: vibrant, loud, with perfectly styled hair and lips highlighted with expert precision. She knew how to laugh loudly, play with her eyes, and present herself as a mysterious woman. Alex felt more important, more noticeable with her. Samantha fueled the fire, constantly repeating that real men choose beautiful women, and that business is not just numbers, it's image. The day before a crucial meeting with investors, Alex woke up nervous. He knew the company's future hinged on that meeting: new contracts, overseas expansion, big money. Anna made him breakfast, brought him coffee, hugged him, and wished him luck as always. But he looked at her with cold detachment, irritated that this modest woman might ruin his big moment. That same day, he texted her, "The meeting is closed, only the board and a small circle. Better stay home. I'll handle everything." Anna replied briefly, "As you wish, darling. Good luck." She asked no questions, didn't argue. Alex felt a strange sense of relief, mixed with a faint sting of guilt, but quickly brushed it off. It was all for the future, after all. That evening, he went to Samantha's place. She greeted him in a silk robe with a glass of wine in hand. The room smelled of expensive perfume, soft music playing in the background. She turned to him and slowly let the robe slip from her shoulders, revealing the dress she had chosen for tomorrow's meeting. Bright red, tight-fitting, backless. Alex was mesmerized. He believed that, with a woman like her beside him, success at the meeting was guaranteed. Samantha came closer, ran her hand across his face, and said, "Tomorrow you'll make a real splash. No one will forget who you are." They drank champagne, laughed, discussed the impression they'd make on the investors. Alex felt like a king. He even let himself dream about appearing on magazine covers after the deal. And Anna? She'd remain at home with her folders, boring documents, and gray dresses. That night, lying next to Samantha, he stared at the ceiling, feeling a faint chill deep inside. But he pushed the thoughts away, convincing himself he was doing the right thing. That business had no room for feelings or sentimentality, that sacrifices had to be made to win, and that tomorrow he would finally prove to everyone, Anna, the investors, and himself, that he deserved to be at the top. In the morning, Alex woke up with a heavy head. Samantha was already at the mirror, adjusting her makeup. She tried on different lipsticks, played with jewelry, laughed at messages on her phone. Alex watched her, feeling both pride and unease. His mind raced with thoughts about how the investors would react, how they'd perceive his company's new image. On the way to the conference hall, Samantha chatted about fashion shows and the latest celebrity scandals. Alex nodded, but his thoughts were elsewhere. He imagined the investors being dazzled by her beauty, envious of him. He could already hear the imaginary applause and see the jealous glances from colleagues. As they entered the building, the security and front desk staff looked at Samantha with surprise. She walked like a red carpet actress, confident, smiling, swaying her hips slightly. Alex straightened his shoulders, pride swelling in his chest. He wanted everyone to see who was in charge today. In the lobby, they stopped in front of a large mirror. Samantha fixed her hair, looked at herself and smirked. Today, we win everything. Alex was about to reply when he suddenly felt a strange chill. He had the odd sense someone was watching him. He turned around, but no one was there. They entered the conference hall. The investors were already gathered. Some seated, some walking around, some discussing reports, others watching a presentation on the screen. A tense, businesslike atmosphere filled the room. The moment Alex and Samantha stepped inside, all eyes turned to them. Some raised their eyebrows. Others whispered to neighbors. At first, Alex thought it was admiration, but gradually he began to notice strange looks, cold, confused, even disapproving. Samantha, meanwhile, felt like a queen. She smiled and walked confidently toward the conference table, as if the whole room belonged to her. Alex approached the head of the table, preparing to give his opening remarks. But at that very moment, the door to the room slowly opened. Anna walked in, calm, composed, holding a folder in her hands. Her steps were quiet, but they radiated strength. She looked directly at Alex. Her eyes showed no tears, no weakness, only cold determination. The room fell silent. The investors stopped whispering and turned toward Anna as if a true leader had entered. Samantha froze in place, like she had been pulled out of a glossy magazine and dropped into harsh reality. Alex felt his legs go weak. His heart pounded in his throat. He wanted to say something, but the words stuck. Anna walked slowly to the table, not sparing Samantha a single glance. She calmly opened her folder and took out several documents. Every movement was precise, confident, no unnecessary gestures. She placed the papers in front of the lead investor and said, in a firm, even voice, "Here are all the detailed reports on the project, risk analysis, and market entry strategies. Please take a look." The investors began flipping through the documents, reading carefully. Their expressions started to change. First surprise, then respect, and finally genuine interest. Anna answered their questions quickly, clearly, and professionally. Her voice was soft but steady. Every number, every word hit its mark. Alex stood to the side, forgotten like a piece of furniture. He tried to speak, but no one listened. Samantha, realizing the situation was slipping out of control, began whispering to Alex, "Say something. Make them listen to you." But he couldn't. Panic was rising inside him. For the first time, he understood just how weak he was without Anna, how fragile his image was, an illusion built on pretense and borrowed glamour. One of the main investors looked up and stared directly at Anna. "You've done an incredible job. It's clear you fully understand the project and have control over every step." Anna nodded, offering a faint, calm smile. The investor then turned to Alex with a hint of cold irony. "And what do you have to say?" Alex opened his mouth but couldn't utter a word. Samantha quickly sank into a chair, lowering her eyes, no longer wanting to attract attention. One of the foreign investors leaned toward a colleague and whispered, "Looks like we bet on the wrong person." The words hit Alex like hammer blows. Anna continued leading the meeting with confidence. She explained strategic steps, discussed marketing plans, upcoming deals, and the company's future. She carried herself with dignity and made it clear that she had been the true architect of the business all along. When the questions ended, the investors stood and applauded Anna. Some even extended their hands to shake hers. Alex remained standing alone, head bowed. His pride, his plans, his polished facade, all of it had collapsed in a matter of minutes. He looked at Anna, who was calmly gathering her papers, and realized that everything he had considered his own success had been her achievement. Anna stood before the long negotiation table, collecting the remaining documents. Her movements were slow, almost regal, as if she was no longer in a rush to be anywhere. Silence hung in the room, broken only by the soft rustle of paper. The investors remained at the table almost spellbound. Each of them understood they had just witnessed more than a business meeting. They had witnessed a real drama, an unveiling, and the rise of a true leader. Alex stood by a chair, drained. His eyes showed utter emptiness. Several times he tried to raise his hand, tried to say something, to explain, but his throat tightened and his breath faltered. Inside, everything boiled: anger, shame, pain. Samantha no longer looked like a confident diva. Her bright red lipstick now seemed like a cheap mask, and her perfect hairstyle had lost its shine. She lowered her eyes, trying not to attract attention, as if she now realized that she was unnecessary, even ridiculous. One of the investors, the senior and most influential in the room, stood and looked straight at Anna. His voice was low and firm. "Thank you for your transparency and professionalism. I see who the real partner is here." He turned to the others. "I think it's clear to all of us who should be leading this project." Everyone nodded in agreement. Alex felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath him. Just a few hours ago, he had dreamed of triumph, imagining the congratulations, the applause, the victory walk out of the room with a glamorous woman on his arm. And now he stood there like a small boy caught in a lie. Anna looked up at Alex. There was no hatred in her gaze, no reproach, only cold, quiet emptiness. She didn't say a word to him. That silence was more terrifying than any scream. It pierced him to the bone, tearing apart what was left of his pride. When Anna finished gathering the documents, she looked at the investors and said quietly, "If there are no more questions, I'll be going. You have everything you need." The senior investor nodded respectfully. "We'll be contacting you directly." Anna nodded in return, turned around, and walked calmly to the door. She exited the room slowly, without even glancing back. Her steps were light, but behind them stood an immense inner strength. In the hallway, an employee tried to approach her with a question, but after meeting her cold gaze, simply stepped aside. In the conference room, Alex remained. He sat slumped in a chair like an old man. Samantha looked at him as if he were useless trash and abruptly stood up. She adjusted her dress but realized that none of it mattered anymore. Without a word, she walked out after Anna, knowing this game was lost. The investors continued discussing Anna's documents. Some were taking photos of the pages, others jotting down notes. Alex caught fragments of conversation. "She's got full control. Incredible woman. This project wouldn't exist without her." Each phrase hit him like a slap. He remembered all the nights Anna spent reviewing documents, how she gave up her own desires for his ambitions, how she supported him even when he didn't deserve it. He wanted to get up and run after her, to shout, to beg for forgiveness, to explain that he had been blind and foolish. But his legs wouldn't move. He knew it was too late. After the investors finished their discussion, the senior one approached Alex. His voice was cold and firm. "You made a big mistake. You traded the most valuable thing you had for a cheap facade." Alex couldn't respond. He just nodded, feeling something break inside him. One by one, the investors left the room, leaving Alex alone. He sat there, staring at the empty table. His thoughts were scattered, chaotic. How could he have been so wrong? Why had he felt ashamed of the one who built his success? Why had he betrayed the woman who was his true strength? Minutes passed, feeling like an eternity. Alex slowly got up and walked to the window. He looked out at the street where Anna had already vanished. She was gone, and he realized he hadn't just lost the business or the investors' respect. He had lost the heart of the company. He had lost his family. He had lost himself. In his mind, her words echoed, words he had once ignored. A man's true strength lies in the woman he chooses to stand beside him. And in that moment, Alex understood, for the first time, what it meant to be truly alone. Not physically, but spiritually. He understood the cost of betrayal and the worth of true loyalty. But that understanding had come far too late.